Hey, what's up guys, it's Pixel here. So today we're going to be introducing you to electricity in 7 Days to Die and how to use it to turn on lights, how to defend your base, all that kind of stuff. I will say that I will preface this by saying this is probably my only electrical introduction guide video for the foreseeable future for 7 Days to Die. The Funpins have openly said that they probably won't touch power ever again. So unless something drastically changes, this is going to be the basis of all electricity videos for 7 Days to Die. I will be going through all the elements in this video as well and breaking them down into smaller bite-sized chunks, so in the future if you need to look for a specific thing you can just reference that one video instead of watching this whole entire video. So with that being said, let's get into it. So before you even get started, you are going to need a tool to wire all your base up, and this is the wire tool, and you can commonly find these in like any kind of like loot box, a construction box, mobile power boxes, all that kind of stuff. You can also make it as well. If you go into your inventory, you can also make it here in the, I think it's in the workbench, via forged steel and mechanical parts. Once you have it, this allows you to connect all your electrical items and also see the kind of visual conal area of some of your items. So for example here, the motion sensor, and over there we got some turrets. But before we look at any kind of thing, there are a few rules that you need to adhere by in 7 Days to Die first, and we'll go over them now. So the first rule is that you can only have one power source per circuit, and what that means is that if I have a generator here, and if I say link it up to a connection of some sort and then to my door here, if I try to connect another generator as an additional power source to this circuit, it won't do it. It'll only allow you to do one, and it'll just switch over to whatever it is. So you can only have one power source per circuit. Okay, rule number 2, a circuit is open. Okay, normally in real world situations you'll have like the power source and then you go through all your house and they'll come back to the original source, right? So it goes all the way around in a loop. Well, this is not the real world. So if I try to connect this door to this generator, it won't allow me to do it. It'll say power source cannot have a parent connection, so you can't loop this around. So whatever your connection is going to be the end here, and yeah, the generator is always going to be the start. So it's kind of easy to remember in that way, but yeah, you can't have it loop around in a circuit. And the third rule is that you can have up to 9 connections coming out of any electrical device, whether it's been a light or a gun turret or anything like that, and then you can only have one input going in. So you can only have one power input going in, but you can have 9 connections going outwards. So just to demonstrate that, I've got a battery bank here. It's going up to all these lights. All these lights are being daisy chained, and you can have as many lights as you possibly want, as long as your power can do so. And then at the end here, as you can see, we have 1 light, and then we have 9 other lights going around the outside. And if I try to connect this other light to the 10th light here, it won't let me do that. But if I try to connect this light right here at the end and then connect up to this one, I have 10 additional lights. It's a little bit bright, I know, but yeah, so you can daisy chain as many as you like, and you can repeat this as far as you want, as long as you have enough power to do so. And a battery bank with 6 batteries will power up to like 300, and that is the maximum power you can get for one particular power source. So you can continue for quite a while before you run out of power. And the final rule is range. So when you're making a connection, you can only stretch it over 10 blocks, but with the player reach, you can actually stretch it to an additional 6 blocks, so you can actually have a maximum reach of 16 blocks. And what I mean by that is, if you do it from block to block, so here it's block 1. If I try to connect this wire all the way over here, it's fine. So this is block 10, but if I try to go to the 11th block, you'll see that the wire goes red, meaning I can't connect it. So connection to connection, point to point, you can only connect it to 10 blocks. But due to how far a player can reach, if I connect this one and then stand on that 10th block again from here, remember this is red, this is block 11, this is block 10. If I connect it over there, it'll allow me to connect it, and this is an additional 6 blocks. So you can connect it up to 16 blocks, which is quite a substantial range if you can see it from block to block. So with the rules out of the way, let's look at power generation and how to power your base. So there are 3 ways you can generate power in 7 Days to Die. The first one is the solar bank, the second one is the battery bank, and finally is the generator. Let's start with the solar bank. So the solar bank is actually a very rare item in 7 Days to Die. You can only find it in, I think it's tier 5 airdrop bundles, secret stash, but only after you've leveled up better barter up to level 4 and 5, and then you may be able to see it in the secret stash of the trader. And then also you can get it as like a quest reward in the form of a bundle. So if I just look in a bundle here, you can get these in a quest reward, and then if you open up, it'll give you a solar bank, tier 3, tier 1, tier 1. It's not very good solar cells in general, but you will get the solar bank. So once you have your solar cell, you just have to pop them into the solar bank, turn that on, and that's it. You basically set it and forget it. Now there is a caveat to using a solar bank, and that is it'll only power between the hours of 4 AM till 10 PM, and then it'll switch off. It'll stop producing power, and then after the night it'll start again from 4 AM to 10 PM. So from 10 PM till 4 AM you'll have no power. So you'll need something to supplement that, and that is the battery bank. Now the battery bank you can use as a power source on its own, and you can get it from advanced engineering level 4, and you can also find it in a recipe as well. So once you have it, the battery bank you can use as a power generator on its own, and you can get it from advanced engineering level 4. And then once you have it, you can just basically build it using just a bit of forged iron, electrical parts, and scrap polymer. So once you've built it, it'll look like this, and once you open it, you'll need to fill it with some batteries. Now the batteries you can just find pretty much anywhere in the world, mainly from wrenching cars, and if you use like salvage operations in the perception tree, it'll increase the chances of getting a battery. They do vary in tier, so you have 1 all the way to 6, and from here I've put up a board here. So tier 1 will produce 29 volts, oh 29 watts, sorry. So 6 of those will produce 174, and then if you get 6 of those, you'll produce a maximum of 300 watts, which is the maximum wattage you can generate in the game. Now the battery bank does have a weakness, and that is durability. So if I open this up here, you'll see that all these batteries here, they have like a nice full purple bar, right? But if I hook the battery to the blade trap here, and all these blade traps are hooked up, if I open it, over time, this purple bar will start to deplete. And as you can see here, it's moving very, very slowly right now, but over time, this purple bar will deplete over time, and eventually all these will grey out and you'll have no power. But there is a way to replenish your batteries, and that is with the solar bank. So with those two now being explained, let's have a look at see how they work well together. So the solar bank produces 180 watts and the battery bank produces 300 watts. But this is misleading, because if we hook up the solar bank to the battery bank and then turn them both on, even though the battery says it produces 300 watts, it's only producing 180 watts because of the solar bank. Because remember, the first rule is that you can only have 1 power source per circuit, right? And in this case, the power generation is the solar bank. So this, because this is at the beginning, the battery bank basically doesn't produce power, it just passes through the power and it powers up the remaining blade traps. So a better way to utilize a solar bank and a battery bank is to actually put a switch in between. So the solar bank will work throughout the day, and then your battery bank will supplement that power during the night, right? Whilst it's doing that, it's draining durability in the battery. So what you can do, put the switch in between. That way, in the daytime, your solar bank will be charging up your base, and then during the night, you flip a switch, and then your battery will charge up throughout the night, at the same time reducing durability right here. And then during the day you switch it back on. The 180 watts flow from the solar bank now into the other blade traps here, and at the same time recharging your batteries in your battery bank. Just as a little tip though, if you are doing this setup, try and find like batteries that are similar wattage to the output of the solar bank. So as you can see here, we have 180 watts, and the closest we can probably get to is the tier 2 batteries here. So we get 6 tier 2 batteries that produce 198 watts, okay? So that way, when you're powering your base, you're not getting a huge drop off. So let's say during the night here, you've powered so many different items that you've maxed out like your 300 watts, right? But then when you switch it, you're basically going to have a massive power drop off, and half your base is going to stop working because it's now switched to 180 watts like that, okay? So it's nice to have that kind of comparable balance between the two. So if you are using the solar bank, 180 watts, and if you're using the battery bank, try and find one that is 180 watts closest, okay? Or try and find a combination between your batteries to get as close to 180 as you can. That way you won't have half your base shutting off during the daytime and then half your base fully powered during the night. But there is an easier way to power your base, and that is the generator. The generator is by far the easiest power source in the game right now, and all you need is 6 engines and some gas, okay? And engines are very easy to come by. You just start wrenching cars. If you have salvage operations in the perception tree, you're going to get engines very, very quickly. You can find them in boxes, and you can also find them at the trader as well, right? Gas is very abundant. You just need a chem station and the gas can recipe, and you can just basically dig in the desert for oil shale, and it just takes 1,000. And once you've done that, you just turn it on. No durability required. You don't have to faff around with solar panels, turn it on and off during the night or anything like that. It produces maximum 300 watts, and you only need gas, and this would last you quite a while. So this is probably the easiest way to generate power in your base. It is a little bit noisy, but it's a sacrifice you make for convenience. And the rate of which gas reduces, and the same with like the batteries and the solar cell, only reduces by the amount of wattage that you use. So if you've only got 5 watts connected to a 300 watt like power generator here, that gas or the solar cell or the battery will degrade very, very slowly. But if you're maxing out 300, that degradation and that gas consumption will increase dramatically as well. So it's something to consider. So with the power generation out of the way, let's look at triggers and connections. So there are numerous ways you can use triggers to turn things on and off in your base, and there are a couple of connections that you can use as well to kind of connect things up, okay? So the first thing that we're going to look at is the motion sensor. So the motion sensor just looks like a CCTV camera, and you connect it up. Once you've connected up to your generator, you just click E to interact with it, and it gives you this interface. Now the interface here, starting from the top here, is just your target. So you have self, allies, strangers, and then zombies. You depending on your use case, you can either turn this on and off. The power delay basically delays when the power gets turned on, and the duration is how long the power is turned on for. So right now I've only got it to triggered, but you can change this to whatever you need. So once it's triggered once, you can have it to always, so it'll always stay on, so always consuming power. And then you have 60-minute duration, all that kind of stuff, okay? So right now I'm just going to leave it at triggered. Down the bottom here we have the camera preview. It does need to be powered before you can use this, but once you have it powered, you just left click on it and you can change where your motion sensor is actually looking at. So I'm just going to have it aimed at the bottom here. When you're happy with the placement, you just have to press escape, and it comes back to this interface, and then after that you can just basically hook your motion sensor up to whatever you want. So in this case I've just done a light switch. So if I walk away, you can see here, now that I've got the wiring tool in my hand here, you can see the kind of visual range that the motion sensor can see. I'm out of range right now, so the light is off, but if I walk into range, that motion sensor is going to see me. Because it's seeing me, it'll now allow power to pass through, and then switching on the light. So the motion sensor is a very versatile kind of trigger. You can use it offensively or defensively depending on your use case. So the motion sensor is probably the best kind of trigger in my opinion. Next we have the trigger plates. So you have them in a 1x1 size and a 1x5 size, again depending on your use case. I generally don't use these. I don't like the look of them, and they're also very impractical because if you use them in a horde base and they're on the ground, chances are they're going to explode and you're going to lose your trigger traps, which means that you're going to lose your defenses or whatever you're up for. But they're very simple. You hook them up to the power. So right now I've got power coming from underneath, and then you use the trigger to hook up to a light here, and you can interact with them, set the duration here and set the delay. So right now I've set it to 5 seconds. If I step on it, this light will stay on for 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it'll turn off just like that. Okay, so it's quite handy. Let's say you can use it for when you walk into a room, and as soon as you walk in a room, if you have a trigger plate on, it'll turn on your lights. So you can use it in that regard, and then you'll turn on for like a minute, 30 minutes or whatever like that. And the same applies for the bigger one. No difference, just the size. Next, we have the tripwires. So the tripwire posts, you need them in pairs, so you'll always have to make 2 of them. And the connection goes input into one side, and then you hook it up to the other side of the post. And then from the other side of the post, you hook it up to whatever you want to light up or want to connect it to. So right here, I've connected up just like this, and then on the end one, the one that where the wire is coming out of, you can interact with this and then set the duration and then set the delay as well. And if I walk through here, the light turns on, stays on for 10 seconds, and then the light will turn off. So very, very simple. Can get a little bit confusing on which side you're kind of connecting up from, but just remember, like the little like yellow dots and the pink dots going here, just remember which direction it's going into, and it's all, you always have to look at the other one to kind of connect up to things. So yeah, this is the tripwire. And then finally we have the switch. The switch is the simplest thing. It's very manual. It has a nice look to it as well. You just have to connect it to power and then connect it to whatever you want, and you literally just turn it on. It has a nice visual green light to tell you that the thing is powered, and then also a nice red light to say it's not powered. So these are your triggers, and you can use these in various different forms to kind of power on your base and turn on traps and stuff. To complement your triggers, you have connections, although actually the electric timer relay is probably a trigger as well. But you have the relay, only costs 1 watt. All you have to do is right click it and you just connect it to whatever you want here. So we have a connection right here like that, you can connect it to like here like that, and you can just spread these out again up to 9 connections to whatever you want to. So it's quite nice. Let's say you have a relay in the middle of your room and then you want to light up the rest of the room. So you can have like 9 light bulbs in a room, and then this relay will just connect everything up for you. The next is the electric timer relay. Now the electric timer relay basically turns things on and off depending on the time of day it is. So as you can see here, the electric timer relay, if I press E on here, it'll say the start time 10 p.m. at night and then 4 o'clock in the morning. And as you can see here, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and the light is turned off. But if I turn the light on to 2200, you can see this turns off. Well, nighttime comes and this turns on because I've told it that from 10 o'clock it turns on, and if I go to 4 a.m. it turns in the morning and the light turns off. So it's very good to kind of save power in that regard, to kind of power on lights. So it's quite handy for that kind of thing. Next, we have powered access, and they come in various different sizes. So we have the hatch here, we have the powered vault door, we have the garage door, the rolling shutter door, and then also the drawbridge right here. And each one has various durabilities. So the hatch here in its final form has 21,000 durability, so that's not going to break anytime soon. The powered vault door here has also 21,000. The garage door has 10,000. The rolling shutter door has 14,000, and then the drawbridge has 10,000. And each one of these will just take either forged iron or steel to repair. So if I just break this and repair it, this costs steel. This will also cost steel. This is forged iron, I believe. Yeah, forged iron. I think this is steel. And then the drawbridge requires a little bit of wood and some forged iron as well. With each one of these, you just need some sort of trigger, as we've mentioned before, and you just have to make the connection from the trigger to the door. Okay, so from here, I've just used the trigger plate. I've set the duration to 5 seconds. So once I step on this hatch will open for 5 seconds, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then it will close. And the same with everything else. So they're very easy to kind of hook up. They do have this nasty like connection here. So this trigger plate is to the top right hand corner of the garage door, and the same here with the rolling garage door. I don't know why it's like in the top right corner. It's very, very ugly. So a very common method to power these is actually using the motion sensor. What people normally do is put motion sensor on one side, put motion sensor on the other side, and then use that to trigger a connection to open the door and open and close when they walk through it. I will make a separate tutorial on how to make automated entry, but for now, these are the electrical items that you can use for access in 7 Days to Die. Next, we have lights. So the lights you can make in the workbench, and you have 4 options to choose from. So you have the basic light bulb, the industrial light bulb, and then the spotlight. And as you can see here, they require electrical parts, iron, and a bit of duct tape. So To power your base though, I would probably suggest using either the basic light bulb or the industrial light bulb here. The industrial light here is not very bright and the spotlight is way too bright and way too big. So if I just demonstrate here, here is the normal light bulb. So if I just turn that on, it's kind of bright, right? I should have probably put a ceiling on to kind of demonstrate, but it's kind of bright, right? It has a nice kind of area effect here. If I turn on the industrial light, it's kind of yellow effect, and it kind of spreads in like a 360 area. So the light will only go like in a dome shape, kind of the light radius. The light here, I don't know why this is glitching out, but the industrial light bulb here will go more 360. And then if I turn on the industrial light here, this will kind of go in like a, I don't know, half a semicircle, half a sphere shape, I don't know, a quarter of a sphere shape, because it's kind of like offsetting into this angle like this, okay? It's really hard to describe. I can't really show you the visual sphere of the light, but yeah, it's not very bright either. The range is not very good. So these lights, if they stop glitching on me, are not that good in my opinion. I would probably just use the normal light, but if the light bulb is too bright, then these two are probably a good alternative. And then finally, we have the spotlight. And if, like I mentioned before, it's way too bright and it's way too big. But if you want to use it, this is what it's going to look like. Like, eye-burningly bright. It's not very nice to use indoors. But if you want to use it outdoors for maybe highlighting entryways or highlighting for your horde base, this is pretty good to use. It has a big range. I think it goes to like 20 blocks or something ridiculous, and you can see from a mile away. So spotlights are good for outdoors, probably not indoors. And finally, we come to the defensive items or the offensive items, depending on your use case. So from here, we have the electrical fence post, the SMG turret, the shotgun turret, the dart trap, and also the blade trap. Looking at the electrical fence post, it only costs a bit of forged iron and electrical parts, and they do stand 2 blocks high. So if I just turn this on here, as you can see, the electrical fence post spans from this one to this one, so you will have to make 2 of them. Same with the tripwire post, and then if I walk through them, you'll see I get electrocuted just like that. Now, something that you have to consider for electrical fence post is that zombies can walk underneath them, so it's not very good for like catching dogs or spiders or any kind of crawling zombies. So a alternative is to actually offset them down 1 block. So if I just connect the power from the switch here to the electric fence post here, and then to this side. Now, if I walk underneath, you can see I'm getting shocked from underneath. This catches any crawlers or spiders and anything like that. And then from the end here, you can just connect it to whatever you want. So you can actually continue the circuit here. So you can actually daisy chain this. So let's say that I've connected this one to this one, and I'll connect this one to this one here, and then this one to over to this one here. So now you have a complete circuit. So you can just daisy chain it. Although it's probably not advisable, because if this one breaks, your whole chain is broken. But you can do this if you really wanted to. So now if I walk through, this is going to give me a little shock, just like that. And the electric fence posts are very good at slowing down zombies, and also, most importantly, stopping coppers from spitting. Because once a copper gets into the animation of like throwing up and like spitting at you, the electric fence posts will kick in and stop them and put them in this like shock animation. So it's very good to slow down zombies, giving you time to shoot them, and also to stop zombies from spitting at you, really. The next 2 are the SMG auto turret and then also the shotgun turret. And as the name suggests, the SMG turret will fire 9mm ammo here, and they won't fire any variation. They'll just fire the standard 9mm ammo. And similarly with the motion sensors here, you can set the targets to target self, target allies, target strangers, and target zombies. So leaving it a default is probably going to be fine. And then the camera preview here, the same with the motion sensor. You just left click on it, change it to whatever angle you want. I'm just going to set it over here on the right. You can actually fire the guns manually as well by left clicking via the camera control. And then once you're happy with the placement of the camera, you press escape. And as you can see now, the turret is now facing that way, the way that I told it. And if I just get in a zombie right here, as you can see, the turret is now firing away, aiming at the zombie. And they do fire it in bursts as well. So just kind of conserve a little ammo. So it's not always like it does fire in bursts, so it does help a little bit in kind of conserving ammo. And the shotgun turret is basically the same as the SMG turret. So if you press E on it, you can see that it has the same interface, same targeting. This time it just uses shotgun shells, so if you lock them, you have to make sure you lock them in order for it to be used. The camera preview here is the same as the SMG. You just left click and click on it, and if I just place a zombie here, it'll fire in 4 shot bursts. 1, 2, 3, 4. Just like that. There are advantages and disadvantages using each one of these. So if you want more consistent damage, use the SMG turret. It's going to cost you a little bit more ammo though, in regards to using the auto turret. And then same here for the shotgun. The shotgun is actually better for ammo consumption, so you use less ammo, but as you can see, the shots are very slow, so it's very good for like burst damage. So quite good if you're using it in conjunction with like a fence post here. That way, whilst it's slow down getting shot, your shotgun has time to do damage in short bursts. Next we have the dart trap. So the dart trap is a very, very simple trap to use. You basically just open it up and you fill it with darts, and the darts are made in the forge via iron and clay. So once you have those smelted up, you can start making darts, and then once you've put the darts in, all you have to do is just lock it, and it fires pretty far. In fact, the range of the dart trap is actually greater than the 2 turrets visual range. So yeah, firing the dart trap over long range is actually very good. And as you can see, the rate of fire is pretty fast, and it's consistent as well. It'll fire like this until it runs out of darts. So it's actually a very, very good trap to use. And finally, we have the blade trap. The blade trap is probably the most expensive in terms of power usage. As you can see, it costs 20 watts. The others cost 10, 15, and 5 respectively. And it's a 3x3x1 space, so it takes a lot of space as well. However, it is very low maintenance, as in like you don't need to manufacture bullets, you don't need to manufacture darts. You will need to repair it over time though, and once you've connected up, it just spins around in a circle continuously forever as long as you have power. And if I just plonk a zombie down here, you can see she's getting sliced up and the damage is pretty significant. And then once it's got damage, you just need to repair it with a bit of steel. So yeah, it's pretty good. I think the blade trap is probably my favorite trap to use next to the dart trap. Again, it's very low maintenance. You don't have to craft any kind of ammunition for it. And yeah, it just keeps going forever and forever. Very, very good as long as you keep it repaired, because it is a very weak block. So if I just fire my nail gun at it, it only has 2000 durability. So you will have to repair it throughout the night. And that's it for the basics of electricity in 7 Days to Die. And that's the basics, guys. I hope this was helpful for you all. Like I said before, the fun pimps have openly said that they're probably never going to touch power again. So this is probably going to be the setup that you're going to need and the knowledge you need for the foreseeable future for 7 Days to Die. If there are any changes, I will obviously make an update video for you guys. And as mentioned before, I'll take all these elements as well and make them into smarter bite-sized videos for you all, just so you guys can reference one particular thing at any given time instead of watching this whole video from start to finish. But that's it. If you found this video helpful, please make sure you drop that like button. I shall catch you in the next one, folks. Peace.